Thank you, Carl. Director Amanda Rees will present the water and wastewater budgets.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Amanda Rees, Utility Director. I'll be presenting the utility budget today. The utility staff play an important role in the community by providing an essential service. A well-managed water supply advances the quality of life for all in Palm Coast and our extended service area. We will start with the utility operating fund. In this slide, we see that the utility is over a $60 million yearly operation. Our charges for services, our revenues, are running roughly $7.1 million beyond the adopted FY24 value. You are starting to see the revenues from adding new customers to the system. The total expenditures have increased approximately $10 million since last year, and the detail of those expenditures will be covered in upcoming slides. Key takeaways from today's presentation are the utility is growing, and much of what we hope to accomplish is going to be impacted by today's costs and support for resources and change. The stormwater and water wastewater infrastructure industry are experiencing a major squeeze. The cost of labor, materials, and equipment have all risen due to inflation and other factors. Wastewater pumping is up first. Most of the percentage change increase is related to the increase of parts and materials for the wastewater pumping division. The major driver of this maintenance is aging infrastructure. You will also see the internal, the allocations, the approximately $292,602 is related to fleet, and we will get to that in later slides. The wastewater collection for FY 2025 will be allocating one additional staff member to focus on after-hour emergencies and service calls. The big ticket item in operating expenditures is the replacement of CCTV equipment.
Can I stop you just for a second?
Sure.
Ask a question? How many after-hour calls do we get right now?
I do not know the number, but I can get that for you. Those calls specifically in that category are from PEP calls.
Okay.
And they're increasing due to the increased PEP tanks we're putting into the field.
Yeah, if we could get, so, and let me ask you this on that position. What percentage of their time is spent on other service calls versus after-hour calls? If we could just get that breakdown. I just find it hard to believe, and I'm sorry to say this, but that we need a whole new position for after-hour PEP tank calls. But again, I don't know what that looks like. So if that information could just be provided to educate us, that would be really helpful.
Sure.
I don't know, like I said, I don't know what that looks like. I'm not on the receiving end of those, but we do have to look at that budget. So if you could just provide that information, that would be
Sure,
helpful.
I'll be happy to provide those
Thank
for
you.
you. Wastewater treatment plant 1. The bulk of the budget increases for wastewater treatment plant 1 are in contractual services and chemicals. The existing sludge hauling increased almost 100% over last year's contractual agreement. Wastewater treatment plant 1 is near capacity, and with increased flows come increased operating costs related to chemicals, electricity, and hauling. The percentage change overall is 26.6% at wastewater treatment plant 1. Wastewater treatment plant 2. As in the case with wastewater treatment plant 1, the bulk of the increase in the 2025 budget is in contractual services, chemicals, and electricity. While wastewater treatment plant 1 is facing capacity issues, wastewater treatment plant 2 is in the expansion phase that will double the capacity by late 2024. While this expansion is needed for current and future growth, staff is also looking to divert flow from wastewater treatment plant 1 to give some relief and free up capacity at wastewater treatment plant 1 to serve future residential and commercial growth. Adding new capacity and new process equipment will increase operating costs in chemicals and power. All of these items make up the 34.2% change. Water treatment plant 1, it has a small increase here of 2.3%. Those were evened out by the reduction in personnel services of approximately $50,000, which was attributed to the retirement of a Class A licensed operator 3, and this position was filled by trainees. So in this budget is shown as a reduction in personnel services. The operating expenditures were increased based on historical averages for chemicals, sludge disposal, maintenance, and repair. Water treatment plant number 2. You will see a 10% change overall at water treatment plant number 2. Operating expenditures increase is related to the capabilities of this plant to treat the largest volume of water of the 3 plants. The utility has hit record highs in water usage, and plant number 2's well field is the healthiest producer of the 3. Water treatment plant number 3. Plant number 3 has an addition of a liquid oxygen technology to enhance treatment in the operating expenditures, along with the historical averages for increase in chemicals, maintenance, and repairs that make up the 10.4% increase overall from last fiscal year.
If I may,
Sure.
you mentioned that plant number 2 has the healthiest, I think, well field, to use another term. Is that because of the geology of that particular area, or why is it better?
It's that those particular wells that are diverted to plant 2 are producing the most water at this time.
Because,
For a variety of reasons. The wells go under rehabs and things, because when a well comes online, it may be producing X amount of water, and then over time it can produce less based off of maintenance, rehab, different items. And so that number 2 is producing the most water, and the wells that are connected to specifically come into plant 2.
okay, so it has to do with the
Number of wells.
the maintenance of the equipment as well as the location?
As well as those wells' production rates over time.
Okay.
So when wells are installed in the field, they can produce what I would call maybe the highest amount they would ever, and then over time, based off of maintenance, rehabs, and geography of the area, they could decrease.
And the reason for my question was, it's my understanding over time that we are challenged because of our geographical location and accessibility is probably not the right word, with the production of water because of the way the aquifer is placed and what we have to go through to get to it, and all of that.
I think that is an issue, but to expand on it with more,
No, okay, I understand. Good. I think you answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're on water quality. You can see there is a reduction here. That is mainly attributable to we sharpened our pencil on overtime for water quality. Historically, we had not used quite what was adjusted to that, so we sharpened our pencil and reduced overtime. But the majority of the decrease, you see approximately $100,000, is related to the reduction in personnel services from FY24 to 25. Related to retirements and employee specifications for benefits. The Water Distribution Division plays an essential role providing support as we expand the system. The largest part of this increase is the $150,000 in capital outlay, which represents the additional meters and supplies that need to be purchased to meet increasing demand for connectivity. FY 2025 personnel position requests fully burdened in the addition of 2 staff members for the meter division at approximately $59,000 each. These technicians will aid in new installs and help to decrease the backlog of meter retirements. Administration, the percentage change is 6.4%. And in here, the major increase is due to the $50,000 in operating expense to cover a update of the existing rate study. Customer service expenditures will see an overall 6.6% increase. The majority of this increase is in salaries and benefits, but also adds $45,000 in Amazon Connect enhancements, specifically tied to number 6 of the Strategic Action Plan to consistently ensure an excellent customer service response. Utility finance. There is an overall change of approximately $160,000 in utility finance, which is the largest portion of the change, and is a transfer of a position from utility administration that will be a new accountant role in utility finance. This position will help the utility as we experience rapid growth, combat growing pains, and outline fiscal plans to achieve the best output with the resources that we have. Construction management and engineering. The highlight in the construction management and engineering budget is a request for utility engineer 1 position, fully burdened with a cost of approximately $115,000. The utility engineer will aid in the support of the increased utility projects related to aging infrastructure and new capacity. The next slide we're seeing is non-departmental. The overall change is 27.8%. The largest part of the increase is in interfund transfers that are related to the transfer of fund balance to the Utility Capital Projects Fund for project needs. This accounts for approximately $5.6 million of that change.
What projects are those specifically?
Capital projects will be covered by Carl next, and he can expand on the project schedule and the project descriptions.
Okay, yeah, Carl, if you could just, I would like to know specifically what the 5.7 interfund transfer, not now, but whenever you're doing the capital project portion, if you could just hit on that. Thank you.
Thanks. There is also the pilot paid in lieu of taxes represented into the interfund transfers. We end the utilities section of the operating budget with fleet equipment. New equipment is at a little over $200,000, and the replacement of fleet is approximately $1.5 million. Some of the new equipment will be used by both water and the wastewater departments. The valve accessorizer is for the additional equipment to maintain valves in the system, and the 2 terminal tractors are for sludge removal, moving sludge from wastewater treatment plant 1 and 2, and the cargo mate trailer is mostly used in wastewater collections, but they can also use that in the water section. And the big portion of replacements is the cost of the replacement cost of that CCTV equipment in replacements.
Question at this point, anybody?
I have none.
I have
one, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a few. The meter technicians, what's
Yes.
the cost recovery on that? Because those are for mostly for new meters.
Well, they're not also for new meters. There's a backlog of meter retirements that need to be changed out
Okay.
that will provide residents with accurate reads for their bills. So as meters, they're behind.
I just got mine replaced last week.
Yes. So that affects how the billing is done, because when they're not taken out of the field, and a lot of communities have that issue, there's usually a backlog of retirements, but at the point it can get out of hand, and we want to make sure that it doesn't.
Sure, and I can appreciate that. So that's good to know. What about cost recovery for new meters? Do we have anything in place that helps us recover those costs? So when a new house comes online,
Sure.
this meter technician goes out, specifically for that new construction, correct?
Of course.
Is there any cost recovery built into how we collect any fees, permits, et cetera, that help with this type of cost?
I mean, there would be permits for new meters that would charge the customer for the install of that new meter.
Okay, and do we know what that cost recovery looks like?
I can present that specifically if we want to draw that out and show, the retirements to new installs. I'm happy to do that.
That would be helpful, thank you.
Sure.
And you know what, I jumped right into asking you questions without welcoming you on board. This is the way I welcome people, I guess.
We caught her last time at the podium,
Yeah,
so good.
no, I welcome to the team, and I'm sorry that I just jumped right in. I tend to do that, and I apologize.
While you're on the meters, if I may, now, I certainly understand the installation of a meter, but are there any costs here associated with reading or knowing the function of the meter after it's installed? And the reason for my question is, in my mind, why, with all of today's technology, like Ring as an example and everything else, why isn't all of this electronically done as opposed to having labor having to actually go out to sites? I'm not talking about installation or replacement, of course, physically you have to do that, but are any of these numbers related to monitoring or making sure that the meter is operating or reading the meter data?
He stole my automated metering infrastructure question.
I apologize.
Well, that's okay.
So I'll be happy to review that with the staff. I haven't gotten to that level
Okay.
of
That's
fine detail. However, I will say this, your older meters that need retirement in the field do not have new technology. And so that's why it's so important to get a handle on the replacement of them so that we can utilize the newest technology.
Okay, and Councilman Clufus, if you want to be more eloquent or fluent in the question, go ahead.
No, the automated metering infrastructure, I know that my new meter, it has an NFC near field contact point, like right on top, so you can just use the wand to ding it. And in the past, we've upgraded from the older style to the new automated metering infrastructure, and I was just piggybacking on the mayor's point. Also, if we could just reiterate that some of the additional expenses that we're now incurring are because of the old bones that we have in our system. Basically, this stuff is starting to get to 60 years old and it requires a little bit more maintenance. And I think that's important for our residents to understand as well, that some of this cost, when you have a new system, everything is fine. But now that we're starting to come to the sunset and the end of life of some of this underground infrastructure, we have to pay a little bit more, just like our bodies, to keep them in the same level of service.
That is correct.
Cool. Thank you.
Mayor?
Councilwoman? Or
No, go ahead.
Vice Mayor, question?
I did not have a question,
Okay.
but I do want to I think we should keep in mind, and I understand what Councilwoman Pontieri is saying about recovering some of this cost, but when someone takes an empty lot and builds a home on it, we begin to collect a lot more taxes on that home. And I don't want to see us just increase the cost of home ownership, of building, because anybody who builds a home, any contractor, is going to pass that cost along to the buyer of that home, which will increase the price of it. But I think we should keep in mind, we take an empty lot that pays hardly any taxes and we put, a $500,000, $600,000, whatever amount home on it, and that person comes in, especially if that person is from out of state and doesn't have homestead, they're going to be paying a lot of taxes to us. So I think that's a good thing to keep in mind.
For the first 2 years, sure.
Yes,
Until they're
absolutely.
homesteaded, yeah.
And for eternity afterwards, because that house will be there instead of an empty lot. We have about 7,000 empty lots out there. If we fill them all up, which eventually we will collect a lot more taxes.
So
So it's kind of a bigger picture view. And I'm not criticizing what you're saying. I just want us to keep that in mind.
Sure, and I can appreciate that. I guess, my overall policy, if it hasn't been abundantly clear in the first 2 years that I've been in this seat, construction should pay for itself. So this is just along that line of thinking, along that policy, new construction should pay for itself. Now, I understand that things could pass through to the buyer, but that's market-driven. And that's ultimately up to the developer and the builder. Whether or not they want to sell a house for a certain amount of money and pass down those fees or subsume those fees is ultimately up to them. They want to pass it down, it's going to increase the cost of their house, and whether or not somebody wants to pay for that is up to the market and will be up to that person. But I don't think that our current residents should be paying for personnel that's required because of increased construction. So that's just my overall policy. Now, my question, though, was, I just want to see what the numbers are. I'm not
Sure,
saying that we
yeah.
should automatically raise anything, but I don't know what that looks like. So I think that, just from an edification standpoint, that's worthwhile information for us to have.
Right, and,
It's a-
and I understand you want to see what the numbers are, but to me, I just, putting this on the table, we thinking long-term, putting that house there gets more bang for our buck than collecting a few extra dollars for a water meter or something else. And that adds to our pot a lot more significantly than if those homes are not built on those lots. So I think we have to look at the whole big picture is what I'm saying.
Sure, yeah, no, I can appreciate that. Thank you. The other question I had was regarding, again, KPIs. So you said that interfund transfers were for the Amazon customer service, I guess, improvement that we're looking at. Again, can we see maybe in 6 months or so, or I guess 6 months after this money starts to be expended, right? Because this is for the upcoming budget. What's the ROI on that? So are we actually seeing an improvement to customer service? Are we responding to more calls, or are we responding more quickly? So I would like to see, again, how is this money actually returning an investment to our taxpayers?
Sure, I can provide that too.
Okay, so you're okay, because the KPI is a little bit, not mysterious, but ethereal in terms of how you, so we're going to get more calls because there's more folks. I'm just trying to make sure that your KPI is giving you, the measurement of your KPI is giving you the data that you're looking for.
Yeah, I
So
think
it's-
percentages.
Yeah, okay, all right. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Mayor, may I just step in for 1 second here?
Sure.